Yeah, today's episode is going to be about what I call our instrument, and there's like this this epiphany, you could say, that I had the other day, and because sometimes I wonder in life and what to do in life. And every time I wonder this question, I always come back to the same conclusion, and that is, what can you do? Um, all I can do is just to be me, and this I'm referring to. If I were to be a bird, all I can be is just a bird. If I were a cow, all I can do and all I can be is a cow. If I was a tree or a plant, what have you, out in the world, all I can do is just be that. If I were a bird and I pretended to be a wolf, and I start to run around with my feet and pretending I'm like this predator, I'm gonna end up being eaten. And so if I were this cow and I didn't graze the grass because it's boring and because it's not man enough, it's not alpha enough, and it's not cool enough. So I'll start to like try to gallop like a horse, run around the wild and pretend like I'm this predator that eats meat. Pretend like I'm this carnivore trying to chew down meat with my straight teeth that were designed to graze the grass, to cut the grass. And so yeah, I'm gonna find myself in a lot of trouble if I were to do that. And so the same goes with who I am and in life, or this metaphor. If I pretend to be something that I am not, I'm going to be that cow that pretends to be a carnivore, or that bird that pretends to be a wolf, or a fish that pretends to climb trees. And so all I really can do is just to be me. Now, not just only me, but for anyone, I feel like it becomes all we can do is just be who we are. And the moment pretending start happening, that's when the mask comes on and the illusion continues. The bird being the wolf and the cow being the fish, or the fish being the monkey, what have you. And so the whole purpose of the meaning of life is essentially comes down to just be who we are. And looking at it from a bigger perspective is essentially, let's say the tree is a tree, the fish is a fish, the bird is a bird, and it creates like this harmonious world that we all live in. We all are a part of this unified universe and this unified world where beauty and everything coexist between one another. The fish doesn't have to be a monkey, and it shouldn't be. And so everything has its place. And so the epiphany is essentially realizing that all I can do is just be me. And all I can do is just to be who I am. And do the things that I find to be enjoyable. And because when I think about, let's say, money, obviously, that is a huge discussion, you could say. But then at the same time, it isn't. The most essential part about money is that if I can survive comfortably in this modern world, and when I say comfortably, I'm talking about, can I do the things that I still do? Or am I forced to do things that I don't like to do? That's when it becomes uncomfortable, or when money becomes not desirable, but more so desirable. But at a certain point, that threshold is served, and from there on, I can serve. But if I don't know where that threshold is, I can just endlessly chase money. And let's say I become a millionaire. I get everything that I want in this world. All the possessions that I could ever wish and want in life. I have the cars, I have the house, I have the greatest and the latest technology. I have everything into my possession. And I feel like the one question that it all comes back to is freedom. And I was reading this quote the other day, and it was saying, we don't want money, we want freedom. We don't want relationship, we want connection. And so, essentially, money provides that freedom. And essentially, it comes down to that. Are you free? And so, having more money does not mean that you can be more free. You have freedom to do things, but at a certain point, it becomes the double-edged sword. It's almost like you climb to the top of the mountain, and at some point, you're going to get to the peak. But then if you keep going, you're going to be at the end of the mountain. And so again, what I mean with this when it comes to money is that at a certain point, I'm going to be wealthy, let's say. And then at a certain point, I become too wealthy. And instead of consuming the money consumes me. I get lost in the sauce, you could say, or I lose myself in all the riches and possessions and everything there is. So that's what I mean. So there is a certain threshold that needs to be served to serve. And when I get past that, it's when it becomes a curse. And so the epiphany, or the realization, is essentially be you. And so what do I mean when it comes to just be me? And this is exactly what I mean. Let's imagine if I was a guitar, and my guitar was out of tune. And if I played that guitar that was out of tune, I'm going to attract things that aren't necessarily attracted to me. But it's that noise, it's that sound. It doesn't sound good, but for some reason, someone is attracted to that. And I'm going to draw that because it's just noise. And out of tune means that I'm doing things that is out of tune with myself. I do things that I don't like. I do things because I've been told to do it. I do things because I've been told that it's the right thing. And so I do these things, and it's out of tune with who I am. But if I'm in tune with myself, meaning that the guitar is in tune, now I'm playing the guitar as it was intended to be played. It is in tune, it is in harmony, and it produces the sound that it's supposed to produce. And so the people, or those who are attracted to that sound, is going to be attracted to the guitar that is in tune, and that is me being in tune with myself. I do things that I like, I do things that I enjoy, and they are going to be attracted to the genuine, the real me, or the real guitar, or the noise that it was designed to produce. And so those who are attracted to those frequencies or that noise is essentially what is really drawn towards. And not this illusion that if I was a guitar and I pretend that I'm a piano, trying to make sounds like make piano pieces or make noises that I can't make. I hold the guitar and trying to play like a piano, hold it like a flute, trying to play like a flute, hold the guitar, play like a drum. Now I'm pretending again. I'm pretending to be something that I'm not. And so essentially, all I can do is just to be who I am and make that sound that it's supposed to make. Be who I am and do the things that I am and produce the sound and the noise that it's supposed to make. And so that's the epiphany, essentially. And it's not really much to it. That's all there is. And if I cannot appreciate or be proud that what I am, because I can't really change it. The only thing I could change is essentially if I were to break it down and try to make a piano out of the guitar. But then again, it's never going to be a guitar or be a piano or a flute, because it's going to break the entire thing to be that. And even if it was, it wouldn't be that. Because let's suppose that I'm the whole guitar and I would have to use what I'm given. And to deconstruct the entire guitar to become a flute. I'm using strings and all sort and trying to change myself and mold myself in some ways and be a drum, and that means I would have to break myself in the first place, and that means I can't reconstruct who I am. I can reconstruct the beliefs and stuff, meaning that I can play different music and genres that I didn't like, but I can learn how to like it or play it. So essentially, you are who you are, and being that who you are is essentially all we can do. And embracing it, enjoying it, be proud of it, because we're given this, not we, I'm sorry, I am given this body, this mind, this given me, you could say, or given this person. It sounds like I'm like woo-woo, but you really think about it. No, that's a whole different conversation. But to keep it within the same metaphorical standpoint, I'm this guitar, and I'm given this instrument, this body, and I'm given this to use these things, to use what I am, and it depends on how I use it. Do I use it to produce music, to share the love of what I am? Or do I use it to annoy people, or play music 2 a.m. in the morning and wake people up? Or do I use it in a way that serenades people and induce calm and contribute to the world and the harmony of the world? Or do I use it to create chaos, stir things up? It depends on how it's used and how one uses it, essentially. But I think that sums up the epiphany, the thought. Yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.